So everyone, you get to hear, how many? 1, 2, 7 different perspectives of what they all saw on the trip. And I've been on a couple mission trips to Romania, India, and Costa Rica, and just going out there, and coming back, it's like a totally different world. And if you've never been on a trip and never heard about it, you might about to have your mind blown of all the cool things that the Lord does on the trip. So we'll get started.
I guess I'll go first. Alright, when people talk about poverty, you think, you get this image in your head, and it almost becomes numb over time when people keep talking about it. But until you actually see it with your own eyes, it's like a totally different perspective you have on everything. I'm going to share a story that, before we even got to Haiti, how it was a blessing. So we all get on the plane, and I was supposed to be in a row with Bridget and one of my buddies, his name's Matt, and we get to our seat on the plane, and there was these 2 girls who were also doing mission work from Alabama, and they were sitting in our seats. And I'm like, hey, you're in our seat. And they're like, no, we're not. I'm like, well, what's your number? And they're like, 23. I'm like, yeah, this is 24. And after like a minute and a half of like going back and forth, I'm like, all right, it's fine. We'll just sit in your seats, and you sit in our seats. It's not a big deal. So I sat with them 2 in their row. I was on the aisle. And Bridget and Matt sat in their seat in the front. And we were, I think we were next on the runway to take off. And the girl sitting next to me was like, calls the steward over. It was like, hey, the plane's leaking, don't take off. So they checked it out. We went back to the terminal, found out that the hydraulics in the right wing started leaking, which is like very, very dangerous. And I mean, that's kind of just God and fate. And you know, if they weren't in the wrong seat, I don't think my friend would have said anything, to be honest with you. He kind of would have just thought it was nothing. So I thought that was cool before we even got to Haiti, how God touched us. So that's just a little story.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about one of the things that touched me the most. Our last day, full day there, we went to this hospital for children and babies, and it was just rows and rows of cribs and these kids who are malnourished and dehydrated. And it's one of those things where you will never forget seeing that, but in a good way. These kids were in a place where they could be able to be taken care of and be nursed back to health, and just having the opportunity to go and hold them and love on them and give them the attention that they just desperately needed was just such a blessing. And to see the smiles on their faces when we walk through the door and they're immediately putting their hands up to be held, it was very much a blessing. And just the people in Haiti were incredible. They were so giving, and more giving than I think a lot of Americans are. And they have close to nothing, and they give everything they have to each other, and that's just incredible to me.
Hi, I'm Ruth. I'm just gonna talk about something that I noticed with the airports. In the U.S. airport, we all noticed this. The people were really rude and not very nice at all. You get to Haiti and there's music playing, people are a lot kinder, they greet you. You get outside the airport, they wanted to take your luggage and take it to your vehicles. The people there were so sweet, and the poverty was beyond anything I could have ever imagined. I never thought that it would be that bad, but the people there somehow survive, and they're still happy, they're willing to help. When we were outside walking through the streets, the guys would just want to help you cross the street. They would try to get the traffic to stop, which traffic was absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, the funny thing about traffic, apparently you don't have to take a driver's test, you just pay a fee and you're allowed to drive. So you just want to go over there to Haiti to get your license. But also with the orphanage, I think the orphanage is what touched my heart the most. The kids there, they just wanted to play games. They just wanted to get to know you. And all the kids there called me Woos because they couldn't say Ruth, and it was the cutest thing. And they would just cling on to you. And I wish we would have gone back to the orphanage. We only went once, but what broke my heart was that you can't adopt. Apparently, it's a huge hassle, and all these kids, they are stuck there, and then once they hit a certain age, they're just put out on the streets, I guess, unless they are hired or someone hires them. but it's really sad to see, and they still smile a lot more than kids these days. It was amazing.
Hi guys, I'm Claire. I came a little bit more prepared than everybody else, but I'll try to cut it short. Okay, so this week I was blessed to go to Haiti for my second time. I went last year, but I actually had salmonella last year, so my trip was a little bit shorter than I expected because I got really sick. But I kind of felt God tugging on my heart to go again, and this year I went back with an awesome group from Pennsylvania and Missouri, and I knew absolutely no one, but I made pretty cool friends. So last year I met a little boy named Keifa, and he's up in the pictures. I don't know if he already passed, but last year he was super sick. He had a really high fever. I honestly didn't know if he was going to make it. A lot of kids who have malnourishment don't survive in Haiti. And this year I went back, and he's super healthy and he's happy, and that was awesome to see. I also became really close with a 7-year-old named Kevin Slay, and it was great seeing him. I'm actually trying to sponsor him as a child every month, so I'm pretty excited for that. So Haiti is in the top 10 for the poorest countries in the world, but the people have absolutely nothing, and yet they have the strongest faith in God ever. In the U.S., when people get cancer, they automatically, go to the hospital. They may pray, but in Haiti, all they have is prayer. They can't go get treatment, and that just kind of like hit home when Matt had said that to us over there. And then, Haiti's really blessed me. The people, the country, it's awesome. The first trip that I went on, a man told me that he feels bad for us because we are materialistic and we sometimes get caught up with our everyday lives that we don't see what God's really doing for us. And for me, I know that our society can get the best of me sometimes, and I can complain and I can be angry. But when I go to Haiti, I realize that my problems are really small, and I'm really grateful for everything that I have. So I just want to share a Bible verse with you guys, which reminds me not to get caught up in my everyday life and to slow down a little bit, which is James 1, verses 19 through 21. It says, "My dear brothers, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. For man's anger does not bring about the righteous life that God desires. Therefore, get rid of all moral filth and evil that is prevalent, and humbly accept the word planted in you, which can save you." So I strongly suggest any of you if you're interested in going on a missions trip to go to Haiti. The experience has truly changed me spiritually and in my individual life. So if you guys have any questions or want to talk more about it, feel free to come up and talk to me.
When I decided to go to Haiti, I thought I was going to be very overwhelmed and very sad the whole time, just having to see and deal with everything that I was experiencing. Except the majority of the time, I wasn't sad at all. I was filled with joy. These kids had nothing, and they were so happy. Their faith was so strong. Me and Danielle one day were sewing. Everybody else was out. And they came in for their devotion, and they all sang together in perfect harmony, and then they broke out in prayer, out loud, and they were all saying it together, and somehow they all ended at the same time, and then said a verse together, and it was just so beautiful, and it was all in Creole. We didn't know what they were saying, but it just, you felt God so much in the room. And then one day when we were walking through the village handing out water bags, a little boy came up to me with an avocado that he found, and he's like, "I found it." He's like, "Avocado for you," and then just handed it to me. He had nothing. He could have ate it, he could have brought it back to his family, but he gave it to me, so it meant a lot. I was just filled with joy the whole time.
Alright, so my name's Anthony, and I went to Haiti. My role down there was mainly like a mechanic. I was helping them work on the buses, get different supplies that they needed. I fixed a lawnmower that they had down there. But the thing that really impacted me the most was probably playing with a cardboard box and a little kid. We were kicking this box around for an hour and a half probably, and he was just so happy to just wear my sunglasses and just kick this cardboard box around. It was just nuts. And another moment that was really cool was I was at a well, and this woman handed me her child. This baby was probably had to be under a year old. She was so cute, and then like the mom just went off somewhere, and I don't really know where she went, but she was gone for like an hour, and I was just holding her child for like an hour, and she fell asleep in my arms, and it was just incredible, and the trip was amazing. I mean, it's a really beautiful country. I definitely would recommend going. This trip certainly impacted my life for sure. I'm going to try to go back next year if I can. You just don't really understand how poor is until you can see something like that with your own eyes. Like, they don't really have a trash system, so like, they burn their trash everywhere, and it's just like, you can see the conditions that people are just living on top of each other, and it's really sad and unfortunate, but they have come a long way, and they're doing better. So yeah, I try to go down and help them out. All right, thanks.
I'm Danielle, and I also went to Haiti. It was my third time, and I kind of went in hoping that, I guess thinking that I've been here before, hopefully I learned something new, and it didn't even matter that I've been to Haiti before. It's you're humbled in the same way every time. And Bridget actually took my story. It's okay. But yeah, I was just going to share just about how they did that devotion, and also later one of the nights, the Haitian staff came and did worship, and just seeing their passion when they worshipped, and how much they are praising God and loving God, just through everything that they deal with, and how little they have is really awesome, just to see how content everyone is. And then another story, there was a woman named Betty who I got to be pretty close with. She washes clothes for the village, and so one day I came over and we were washing clothes together, and we got to talking a little bit, and she was just telling me about her family and just her life and things like that, and she was talking about school, and I asked her how school was in Haiti, because she's taking English classes right now in Port-au-Prince, and she was telling me about how she really wanted to study computer science, but doesn't have the money to go to school for it, so she can't study it. And it just sort of hits home that education is something that here for most people we can go to school and we can study whatever we want, and it's not really something that we think that much about, but just how much we take our education for granted. So, and then I also just wanted to share we did a devotion while we were there in James, and this was a verse that really stuck with me that I liked. It's James 2:5. It says, "Listen, my dear brothers and sisters, has not God chosen those who are poor in the eyes of the world to be rich in faith and to inherit the kingdom he promised to those who love him?" I just think that's a really good verse to describe the Haitian people, because they may be poor in our eyes, but they're so rich in faith, which is awesome. So.
Thank you guys. Glad you all had the opportunity to go out there. They raised a whole bunch of money to actually get out there, because going away, you can't just go for free. So it's a lot of effort fundraising, and talking to people, and calling people, and writing envelopes, and all sorts of stuff. Crazy fundraising ideas. So, but we're gonna go into worship now, and.